Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 406. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only, the returner, the Matt P Video. Matt, how are you?
I'm really good. I only go away now for a couple of weeks so that I can hear you sing that when I come back, and it brings me joy. So it
has nothing to do with my poor scheduling, your poor scheduling, and poor Crash just absolutely getting ran through the ringer. Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with those three things. It's definitely to do with us me. I blame myself. It's always me. I blame me.
No.
I blame me.
We'll 50-50 this one. We'll 50-50 this one for sure.
Deal.
And you know how we usually give a lot of credit to Haley? Maybe you blame Haley for this one.
It's Haley's fault. I agree.
Like HR issue,
it does seem like a HR
issue.
You're right. It's Haley's fault. We agree. And of course, the one and only Toothbrush Crash. Crash, how are you?
I'm doing good. You know, great games. I played a lot of great games this week. Had a good old swell time.
We'll get to that in due time. If you didn't know, this is My Xbox and Me, our weekly Xbox podcast right here on youtube.com/My Xbox and Me and all podcast services. If you want to support the show financially, head over to patreon.com/MCFixer. And of course, go find us on all podcast services, hit the 5 stars and drop us a review. It helps more than you could imagine. I'm telling you that now. Which is strange. I don't understand why reviews are so important on podcasts, but they are. They help boost you back up the chart. Again, long story short, go review it, please. We beg. Shout out to our Patreon producer this week, Erengard. We appreciate you, sir. Thank you for keeping the show on the road and supporting us all the way through. Topic of the show, boys. A little game drop this week that I would say a large portion of the Xbox audience was excited for. Until a bunch of things. Number one, I don't know how much of this you saw. Number one, some reviews went live early due to embargoes not being understood properly, which is a huge issue. Let me, as somebody who deals with embargoes, and Matt, you will know, and even you, Chris, you've dealt with embargoes before as well. You read those review embargoes about 10 times over and you shit yourself. Sometimes I don't even schedule mine. I wait to see IGN's version go up first and then I let it go out. Because I'm like, if I'm late by 5 seconds, it ain't gonna make a difference to my audience. But yeah, so a few YouTubers / enthusiast press / even a couple press accidentally went live with their reviews, which caused an absolute frenzy on the internet. I'm talking everything from YouTubers to Twitch down to even Twitter. Twitter was ablaze. The big one that I saw is ACG? ACG?
Yes,
ACG, who's one of the... He's a huge YouTuber. Does very, very in-depth and amazing reviews. He went live, and I didn't get to see it or anything like that, but I saw... It was given a 4. Redfall is the game we're talking about, in case you're not following along. Redfall was given a 4, and the internet was ablaze. Okay, here's my question for you both. Before we think, what was you thinking at that moment? What was you thinking? Oh god, this game's actually bad, or was it like, oh, this is just one person's opinion, and it ain't gonna be that bad?
I thought because it came out early, they were the ones that were coming out early. I was like, oh, it's these people who are trying to get headlines and, you know, stir the pot a bit. So I was like, it's probably not going to be a 10 out of 10 game, but there's no way it's going to be like a 4 out of 10 or something along those lines, right?
Right.
And
right.
We'll discuss that. We'll discuss where it
What about
ends
you,
up,
Matt? What was you thinking?
What I would say is like, because like you say, we're in it. It sounds so mean, but there is always a little bit of like, somebody broke the embargo. That's funny. And then you sit there for a minute and you go, oh, 5 or 6 people broke the embargo. Okay, well now it's more of like a dev publisher issue, right?
Yes.
A PR issue. That is because if multiple people are doing it, I mean, maybe some of those people sent their stuff live early because they saw other stuff up and they were like, well, if stuff's up, stuff's up.
I agree.
Because those conversations happen as well. But like, yeah, so there's always a little bit of like, that happens. And then I kind of have to remind myself when I'm like reaching out for codes and stuff, and sometimes publishers and devs aren't that willing to give out codes. I'm always a bit like, it's just a digital code. Just like send us the code. What's the big deal? And then you go like, yeah, they're just worried about the embargo and stuff. You know, like you got to reframe it. Anyway, Yeah, when it started coming out that lowly scored, I can't say I was like super duper surprised. Like I think like we were all a little tentative on Redfall. Like we were all massively had a lot of faith in Arcane as a studio, but knew that this was something very, very different. And maybe not.
You two. I've not liked an Arcane game yet. And that's and I know I'm in the minority with that, but I don't enjoy their games.
But is there an Arcane game you can look at and say it's a bad game definitively?
Yes, Redfall.
Okay, but before Redfall.
No.
Exactly.
I agree. No, I agree. Exactly. I agree. I saw it and was just like, oh, okay, yeah, this is a few. And again, we've all been in the position where we've played a game and you sit there and go, okay, this game seems like it's okay, and then you have to sit there and put your content together and you put out that this game is only okay. And I'll speak for myself. I run to IGN, GameSpot, all these places, and I go, did they think it was okay as well, or did they think it was amazing, or and it totally imposter syndrome at that exact moment of like, is my opinion validated amongst my peers?
Of course,
which was very interesting. But yeah, so the game is obviously out. Redfall is now out. It is currently sitting at a, what was it, Matt, on Metacritic?
It was 59.
59 from critics on Metacritic, yeah, and then user score of 2.8 on Metacritic.
Yes, not.
But look, review bombing happens, and so like you have to, you can't even really like.
Yeah. I don't even look at the user reviews, to be totally honest with you. Like user reviews mean nothing. But the 56 on Metacritic, that's from 55. 59 on Metacritic with 55 reviews. It's I played it. I played it for about an hour today. Literally today, before we've recorded today, I was like, okay, well, coming on the podcast, I should have a opinion that I've played the game, not just talk about it and bash it from what I've seen. I should actually play it. I really don't like the game, if I'm being honest with you. From the opening hour that I played, it has a lot of the problems that I have with all Arcane games, which is too much text in its reading. In the first opening hour, I found 9 files to read, and I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like this isn't the type of game that I feel like this needed that. The one positive I'll give it is it isn't Back 4 Blood. we were all wondering, is it just a Back 4 Blood? It's nothing like Back 4 Blood. It's nothing like Left 4 Dead. It's not that type of game. It's a total different type of game than both of those games. The big problems I have with the game, first of all, it runs like absolute garbage. I am having non-stop frame rate issues, and I am not the frame rate guy. I couldn't tell you the difference between 60, 30, 120. Like, I'm sure I could if I really sat down and looked at the 3 side by side, but I'm talking just on that I'm dropping frames non-stop. I'm playing on PC. I've got a 3080 Ti. I've got, my rig is amazing. Like, if I'm being honest, I've got a very, very good rig. Thank you very much, Intel. Yeah, like, the game runs poorly. It took me forever to just boot up the game, to load it. It took me forever when I died to get back into the game. And yeah, it runs just really, really bad on PC.
Wow, that is fascinating. So we're going to get onto it in a little bit, but Phil Spencer mentioned in a recent interview he did on Kind of Funny Xcast that about 6-7 months ago, I believe, he kind of put together this like task force to help the game run better from where did he mention Coalition and other but this like team of people together, because the game, they knew they wouldn't be able to ship at 60 frames on Xbox, and then this team was brought in as like Unreal experts to try and whip it up into shape, and he said that they didn't have enough time to do that.
But they did have enough time, because they could have delayed it. And that's is the other. Yes.
Yeah. I don't know what the purpose would be to delay it, because you don't end up with a good game if you delay it. I think.
Oh no, the game's still bad.
Take whatever the loss is. Yeah, I think you take whatever the loss is and put it.
I think that's it. It's like, it is, technical issues aside, are we going to fundamentally change the game in such a way and take 2 years over that? I guess maybe a year. I don't know. Depends, I guess, how fundamental that change would be. But like, the game is what the game is, right? We like had a vision for an idea, we've executed it in this way. You got to get the game out at some point, right? Like, you got to bite the bullet and go.
100%. I think the other problems I have with the game is just basic walking in the game, running. I don't feel like I do not feel. Oh, okay. I'm not crazy, right?
You glide.
That's exactly how I feel. I feel like I'm gliding along the floor constantly. I don't feel like I'm a human being that is running around the world. I feel like I'm a ghost that is just floating around the world shooting people and vampires. It feels awful.
Legit gonna be one of my complaints. Movements is probably one of my biggest issues with the game in general.
Wow.
Sliding doesn't feel good. Climbing and mantling. If you have a movement ability, I played the psychic chick. I'm forgetting her name.
Yeah, I know who you're talking
off the
about.
top of my head.
Yeah.
If you want to be running and use her ability, your character stops running, slowly puts out the ability, which ruins all momentum you would have in that moment. And even if you play with one of the teleporter characters and you use his teleport, because teammates can use the teleport, there's no actual feedback when you use the teleport to actually make that feel just good to use in general. And that's one of my big complaints with a lot of this stuff. There's just small stuff missing to make some of those stuff feel more reactive or reward the player more. In terms of what they're doing to just make it feel better in general, you know?
It's so surprising because Dishonored feels so good to move around in. So like, what happened? Prey feels great to move around in. I mean, it's less like, you know, teleporty and stuff, I guess. But like, although I didn't play very much.
No, I'm talking about just the basics of walking forward. Feels bad.
Yeah, it's mad.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Okay, I'm glad
it's not their first game, right? Like,
I'm glad I'm not crazy. I'm glad I'm not crazy because I thought it and was like, maybe I'm just being me about it.
Really, I saw some people say that like the mechanics like at a core are great, and I'm like, I don't know what they're talking about. Like the shooting's fine, I guess, if you're talking about just aiming at things and shooting, sure.
Yeah.
But like in an FPS, your movement's so relevant that I would put that as part of like the FPS experience to a degree. Personally,
I agree. I can already, maybe I'm wrong. I only played 2 missions, and that was about an hour. So that was with a little bit of exploration, and then like the opening mission, and then going to check out the crash site. Those are the 2 bits that I did. To give it credit where credit is due, I enjoyed the staking of a vampire. I think that looks quite cool when you stake somebody and they pretty much like evaporate and then you loot. I don't understand the looter shooter element of it. It just doesn't. It's not appealing to me.
It's just numbers. What I feel like the looter element of it is you don't have that really big of a skill tree per character.
Yeah.
And so I feel like they wanted to add more weight to the whole experience as a whole, and like, oh, you have more stuff to do than just the minimal skill tree. You also have loot to go and chase, but the loot felt really irrelevant. It was like you're just chasing numbers, and that's never. This is something a lot of games get mistaken. Like that's not the fun part of a looter shooter. The fun part is finding the right piece of loot for the right build and the right gear for whatever you want to run. And I feel like that doesn't feel worth it in this game from what I played.
Yeah, that was the big part that pissed me off pretty early on as well. Was I killed somebody, and their gun dropped on the floor, and I was like, oh, let me pick that up. Disappeared in front of my eyes. And I was like, what is this? Well, like, wait, what? Like, I'm confused in what confused in what I'm experiencing here. Am I actually dead and I'm imagining all this? Because I feel like a ghost when I'm walking around. I can't interact with my enemy's weapons. Like, I've just killed someone who has a shotgun. I should better pick that shotgun up. It just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, if the loot was worth it, like, I could see the reasoning for that, but it just isn't at the end of the day. The AI is very abysmal. It's not good. I've heard people say the AI is buggy, and I'm like, I don't know if the AI is buggy or the AI is just bad.
No, the AI is buggy. I've seen the videos of like a vampire just running around in a circle, literally just running around. Like it's not pretty. It's not pretty.
Yeah.
Though that's one thing I will say I did enjoy about like my first encounter with a vampire is like the way he sort of maneuvered away from me and then came back, and like that first fight, I was like, oh, this is cool. But you interact this first vampire, and that should be a big moment in this world.
It's not, and
it's like, go downstairs. Oh, there's the vampire. There's no Resident Evil cutscene of like the vampire turns around and like build. No, it's just like they're there. Okay, yep.
So I'm assuming you didn't fight the first mini boss fix then.
No.
It was a joke. It was not, it didn't feel like a mini boss. It really felt just like a slightly beefed up vampire that I questioned, like, what is this experience supposed to entail as a whole thing? How does it evolve and grow, and how do the enemies change other than the vampire gods, which are like supposed to be like the end game bosses?
Yeah.
Other than that, if that's all you're working towards for fighting stronger enemies, and maybe there are more powerful enemies and whatnot, but it didn't feel like it. And I think that was one of my issues, is like you had this big open world, but as you're exploring and going through it, there is no sense of growth in danger. Like, I traveled at night. It's not like they were like, oh, you're gonna have to be careful if you travel at night.
Yeah.
It's like, it's the same thing as traveling in the day. You might see an extra vampire or two, but they're not that dangerous, right?
Yeah.
Like, they are to a degree, but it's not that crazy.
No, I agree. It just very rarely do I play a game for half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour and go. And me, I'm a guy that likes to complete things, especially in the Xbox ecosystem, because this is my job at the end of the day. Like, it's our job to have opinions on games. It was too much. Like I say, it was the frame rate with the gliding, with just the story, the way they tell the story as well isn't for me. It's this weird music on top of these, this weird cutscene, which feels very much more like a photo slideshow. It just.
I was like, if they wanted to do that, I would have rather they took like the Infamous route, and some games have done it after Infamous, where you do like the comic book type of style and you have it very stylized and stuff like that. I was like, that would have worked here to some degree, but even then, it's like there's some sort of narrative dissonance happening here where they told me how the story's starting. Yeah. I don't fully know how I'm in that position and everything.
You're on a boat.
Yeah.
The boat crashed.
I will say, when you get out of the boat, the visuals are actually like pretty dope there, with the wave going over you and all that stuff. And there are moments like that in the game where I'm like, okay, they're at the core, like design-wise, there is something here. In some sort of narrative degree. I like that the vampires aren't like those sparkly human vampires type of BS, right? They are monstrous, and I thought that was cool, but it's like none of it's executed remotely good, and I don't know what they could have done to fix a lot of those issues.
Talking about the cutscenes and stuff, I saw people talking about this, like the trailers and cinematics they put out before the game's release are like really high fidelity, and I think that's what people were expecting from the cutscenes in this game, and it turns into more of an As Dusk Falls kind of slideshow, like you were saying, animated slideshow. Is that like a real impact for you guys? Like, are you like super less interested when a cutscene pops? Like, is the story engaging? Or
I don't skip cutscenes. I'm not that person. Instantly when I get a cutscene, I skip. I go, boom, I'm out. Yep, cool. Just get me back to. Let me just go on record as saying, I'm not beating this game and I'm not playing it no more. It's done. I have no interest. Like, even playing with friends, like, I don't think it can be saved. It's not worth my time.
It's not better. I would say the co-op experience isn't great in the game, of having to join somebody, and the way that works. I had to disconnect, and I couldn't use one of my abilities, so I had to actually quit out of the game, and my escape button wasn't working, so I had to it was a whole mess. It just wasn't working for whatever reason. No. So I quit out. I joined back in, and for about a minute or two, none of my guns or my the level ups I got in the game were there, and then they end up popping up, but it's sort of how is this stitched together? It doesn't feel like it's working super fluently.
It feels like, to me, Xbox thought they could get away with the thing we've been talking about for the last 2 years, right? It feels very much like in quotes, if you're listening, a Game Pass game. Like, that's what it feels like. It feels like a game that Xbox were like, okay, we know this isn't great, but most people are going to play it through Game Pass anyway, so I think we're going to get hit a little bit, but we might get a 6. Well, we might get a 7. And I think the audience has just said, no, we're not doing that no more.
Yeah, well, on the Xcast, if I'm not mistaken, Phil said that on his mock reviews, that it was scoring a lot higher.
They scored a lot higher on their mock reviews. Yeah, that's what he said. And look, it could be not the case. But I don't get the feeling that he's that disingenuous.
This interview, he seemed very, and we'll talk about it in a little bit more depth in a little bit, but this interview, he seemed like he was pretty open about everything, so...
Yeah,
he was super real. And so it's fascinating to hear that I'm not sure. I mean, we've always known that companies like this have done mock reviews. I'm not sure we've ever seen anybody talk as openly about them as he did in this, and sort of saying, yeah, it was scoring double digits better in our mock reviews than it did. So like insinuating that if it's getting a 60 out of 100 at one outlet, their mock reviews were giving it 70, maybe higher.
At minimum, probably higher.
Exactly. And so that's fascinating, right? To hear how that works. And he was sort of like, you know, if we're that far off, we need to relook at our processes and stuff like that. So yeah, I kind of love seeing behind the curtain of all that stuff and hearing some real juicy stuff out of it. But yeah, it's a shame that it had to come from this source, you know, this thing. But you know,
Fresh, you got anything? Because I spoke at length. Have you got anything else you want to talk about, like from a gameplay perspective of what you experienced?
No, I think that pretty much covers it. It's just not a very well put together thing. And I know some people have been enjoying the game, and this isn't a knock on you. If you enjoy the game, you enjoy the game. Everybody can enjoy a bad game. I've enjoyed bad games in the past. But I've seen some people try and... Yo, why are you throwing me under the bus like that? That's crazy.
You're gonna have a fight right now?
Last year's game of the year. You're throwing me under the bus for last year's game of the year. But I think you have to be honest with yourself at some point. I've seen some people like try and defend this game to a degree, like, oh, it's not that bad, and throw it in with the likes of like Cyberpunk and a few other games that were buggy at launch and had like technical issues. Like this game's issue isn't technical, right? You can take away all the technical issues and you still don't have a good game.
I agree.
Right. So I think that's ultimately
the last thing that I think Phil said specifically on Redfall was that they're not done with Redfall. They're not just putting it out and that's what it is and it's over. They're going to continue to work on it. They're bringing the 60 FPS mode to Xbox. They're, you know, all of these things that should hopefully improve the game. Like you say, fundamentally, is the game fun and engaging enough? Maybe not. I don't know, but
no,
you know,
for Redfall, one of two things should have happened. A, this game should have been canceled a while ago, and it wasn't canceled. And when I say a while ago, I don't mean like a year ago. I think whenever Microsoft came in, they should have looked at what it was and be like, okay, this isn't working out. Or it should have came out in early access. I think if this came out in early access and they were growing on this and like, hey, we don't have all the systems fully in place, I think a lot of more people would have been receptive to it.
I agree. I think to hit on your first point there, I think from Xbox's point of view, if they came in and after they've bought Bethesda, and then killed off a project and that leaked, that would have looked even worse on Xbox because even worse than what we're doing right now. Like what we're doing right now is bad, but if Microsoft had come in, they've just bought this company and they went, this project's dead, this is trash. It would have got leaked. 100% it would have got leaked that Microsoft have killed an Arcane project, and then the optics of that from Xbox's point of view, not only from a fan base point of view, would have looked terrible, but from an internal point of view at Bethesda, I think would have been even worse as well, because it would have been, oh great, we've been bought out by big bad Microsoft, and they're coming in and they're just killing our creativity. At least now, and not that I think it's still terrible optics, at least now it's a case of like, all right, we tried it your way, and it didn't work. Look at the shit we're in now.
Yeah.
Because I think this opens up a bigger conversation. Redfall's Redfall. Like Redfall isn't good, but let's not kid ourselves, guys. Like I love PlayStation, I love what they do, I love the quality of their games, blah blah blah. They've had a lot of misses as well. We're very quick to forget them because they've had near what we consider to be games of perfection, and Xbox haven't. Sorry, go on.
It's easier to forget the missteps when you're given good games.
Yeah,
and the problem with Xbox is the good game is the rarity, where with Sony it feels like it's the opposite, right?
I think I'll take it a step further. The good game is non-existent. Name me
and stuff like that. I would still consider those. I don't think
you're right. You're right. Hyperbole. You're right. I need to relax. I'm upset. I need to relax. Yeah. You're right. Yeah.
I think like whatever side of the fence, you know, there's a lot of people out there as well, like on the PlayStation side, who are like laughing at this and stuff. And I think whatever side you're on, it's bad news for everybody that Redfall is bad. Like I think on the Xcast, Gary Whitta put this best. Like he works in Hollywood and is, you know, the amount of Star Wars stuff that's getting churned out, the amount of MCU stuff that's getting churned out, because it's a surefire bet. When you have a brand new IP, something like Redfall, which could have become a franchise, and it performs badly, it makes every other brand new IP harder to pitch. It makes every other brand new IP for Phil Spencer to say yes to so much harder when you can just go and make Fallout New Vegas 2, right? Like, so it's bad news for everybody that Redfall did badly.
Yeah, and this swerve onto XCast a little bit. Obviously, shout-outs are kind of funny. Paris, Lily, Gary Whitta, and Snowbite Mike, and obviously the whole kind of funny crew did a great interview with Phil Spencer. Phil Spencer was very transparent, open about a lot of things. A couple of things I want to touch on. He spoke about the Xbox One generation. Obviously, I've been doing this podcast now nearly 8 years, so I lived through that Xbox One generation. And the quote that came out of this was an interesting one, which is, quote, "We lost the worst generation to lose," which is obviously the Xbox One generation, where everybody built their digital library of games, end quote. And I thought that was an interesting point of view, because I'd actually never thought of it like that, where if you are somebody who invested in the PS4, which was everybody, and you spent a extremely large amount of money on that platform, why would you not want that to transfer over forever more?
Yeah.
And I had never thought of it from that perspective of, yeah, why am I still in the Xbox ecosystem? Like, because I was a 360 player, and though the Xbox One generation was bad, and I play games everywhere, it doesn't matter, but why am I mainly in the Xbox ecosystem? Because of my gamer tag. I don't really care about achievements anymore, but it is still a part of it, of like achievements, and the fact that I have bought and been given all of these games that I know I can log onto this one console and play whenever I want. And now I'm thinking about that from a PlayStation perspective and going, yeah, it doesn't. The PS6 comes out, unless PlayStation drop the ball again and they pull the PS3, which will never. No, I don't think that ever happens again. This digital world that we're in now, I don't think it ever happens again now. But yeah, go on.
It puts into context why Xbox and the Xbox One generation were so into backwards compatibility, and Sony didn't necessarily care about it, was because Sony's like, we already have our digital library, and Microsoft's like, well, we need to get people who are in the 360, which was a huge generation for us, invested into our system now.
Yeah,
and it worked for them. It worked,
and I think brand new people, like if you have been on that PlayStation train for so long, and you know you can jump over to Xbox, and with Game Pass, you basically have
an instant
everything
library
you could want from the 360 kind of, and the Xbox One, like Sunset and, you know, Gears and Halo and every iteration of those things. So you're basically giving away that digital library that they're talking about in this quote for free for Game Pass. You understand? So yeah, it is like a really interesting sort of peek behind the business strategy that I don't think a lot of people have considered.
Yeah. No, I definitely hadn't. I definitely hadn't thought of it like that. And I was like, no, that's actually a great idea. And you're right. That's why they push. We all see it and go, Game Pass is great value, blah, 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 blah. But I had never thought, like, okay, where did this idea actually come from? And it probably came from the fact of, guys, we need to bring in our old players, but instantly give them a library of games. And that's how I feel like Game Pass was birthed, which is really interesting. Phil also went on to say this as well: a different vision won't out console Sony and Nintendo. So he went on to say things like, even if Starfield came out and was an 11 out of 10, people won't then start selling their PS5s. And I thought these were two interesting quotes, obviously, that were made, because number one, he's right. Like, Starfield can be the best game ever made. People are only going to play their Xbox or their PC or xCloud, which, please, there's no way. But they're only going to play that game and then they're going to leave again. But I feel like that's what Xbox still need. I disagreed with... There's a few points he made that I disagreed with. I think he articulates himself very well. And can make you... Not in a bad way, but like he can make you like, it can make it sound like, oh no, he's right. I felt like there was a quote, and I don't have it in front of me, which was like, even if we started putting out high quality games, we still wouldn't catch up. And it's like, well, that's, to me, I don't give a crap what anybody says. That's bullshit. the reason people don't play on Xbox and don't buy Xboxes, and I think he was talking about the ecosystem more than selling a console, to be very apparent. But but if you put out good games and there is a lot of buzz around it, people go out and want to experience those games.
I don't know if I disagree with the statement in that regard, because he's talking about like Xbox at this point becoming bigger than PlayStation, Nintendo, and I don't think in the foreseeable future, next decade plus, that happens, right?
There's a certain amount of that, I think. Like you got to remember, this interview also comes off the back of the CMA stuff, and like he said several times in this, we're in third place. We're in, like he's like really trying to get that across, and so like, there's always this balancing act, right? Where I don't think he's necessarily saying if Redfall's a 10, people wouldn't be going out and buying Xboxes. But this also did come off the back of a conversation that I can't remember which host asked the question, but I thought it was brilliant, where they were sort of saying like, the best place to play Redfall is not on Xbox. The best place to play Redfall is on PC. You've got the option of 60 frames, if maybe not according to you, Fix, but like, you've got those options, right?
I'm sure they're there. I just didn't experience them.
The best place to play is not on your Xbox Series X, which you invested all this money into, that is your poster child for your, brand.
Yeah.
And so what is the philosophy there? Like, how do you feel about that? And that's where this came from, of like, we have a different vision for this. Xbox is still the poster child, and Xbox is still, we want to be the best place to play, but we're not going to out-console Sony. We're not going after that. We're not really indirectly saying we're not trying to sell Xboxes, which we've all been saying forever, but that's like the closest we've ever got to Phil saying that, So I think, it's been obvious, and it's never really been spelled out, and it's still not quite spelled out, but it's really clear now that they're not trying to sell Xboxes here. They're trying to sell Game Pass. They're trying to sell.
And their ecosystem. Their ecosystem isn't just on the Xbox, it's on xCloud.
Yeah.
It's also on PC, right? You can access almost all Xbox games, a lot of the games on PC.
And then he immediately went and brought up his new ROG Asus Ally, I think they're calling it, which is like the competitor to the Steam Deck. And he's like, we're super excited to get Game Pass on here, and
Yeah, great. I bought a fucking Steam Deck though, so that's no good for me.
You can get Game Pass on your Steam Deck if you're willing to.
Bro, do you know how hard it is?
Yeah, I mean,
it's a lot of work. I don't know how to do that. I'm dumb.
You're a PC gamer, mate. Open up your spreadsheets, figure it out.
You made a PC once, Fix.
Yeah, I saw it.
We all saw how that happened, and the cake wasn't much better, if we're being totally honest. Yeah, there was a lot. There was so much in this conversation with Phil Spencer that if you haven't watched the Kind of Funny Xcast, go check it out, because it's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah.
But it just opens up the question to, like, for me, which is like, why should I give a crap about Xbox at this moment in time? And that's generally, it really put me, this game, and it's so crazy that this was the game that done it for me. But it was like, I sit here once a week for about an hour and a half talking about Xbox. And this was the first time in 8 years where, like, the Xbox One generation, again, I knew it was bad, but I always knew they'd have to recover. Yeah. And then we got to the Xbox Series generation, which at the start of the generation, very hyped, and hasn't lived up to the lofty expectations that I think we've all had for the console, with it being an expensive piece. It's an expensive console. Like, I've had no reason to turn mine on, not even just outside of like PC gaming. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if Redfall would have played better on console, I would have just played it there. Like, even if I knew it would run solid, like this, I've got this issue with my PC version, and that might not even be the game. That might just be, oh cool, I'll play it on my Xbox instead. That option isn't even there. It's like, it's the first time in 8 years that I've gone, why do I care about Xbox again? Why do I do this once a week? Why do I care about this brand? Why? What am I doing? What am I doing? Because I feel like I'm now wasting my time with this brand. Not only that, what are you doing, Xbox, to make me feel better about this, about my purchasing decisions, about the time I spend on your ecosystem, about everything? It's just like, what are we doing here? What is going on?
I think part of that's also on Xbox and the way they sold Redfall, right? They sold it as a fully AAA game. They sold it as their first $70 game. And we talked a lot about like advertisements and stuff like that. And we were like, oh, Redfall is like one of the games where they're starting to like advertise more, and I'm seeing more advertisements for Redfall. And then it feels like, oh, they're trying to sell us bottles of piss, right?
Yeah.
You know, the old cowboy thing where they sell bottles of piss. It feels like that's what Xbox were trying to do with this. And so I see a lot of people burn out. And I feel like it's also the first time we've really seen people, Xbox fans, being like, hey, maybe it's time for Phil to be changed, and like maybe somebody should be replacing Phil at this point.
Which
right?
I disagree.
It's a wild statement, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the fact that sentiment's there in any regard with Xbox fans, I think that's a statement, right?
Well, I think the motto has always been in Phil we trust, right? He was a gamer. Yeah. He knew the ecosystem better than they were, considering he's been here as long as he has. And yeah, I agree. It's just like, I'm definitely not one of those people that thinks he should be replaced in any way, shape, or form. Like, you can just tell by the way he speaks that he cares. And let me tell you, Don Mattress didn't care. Peter Moore, I like Peter Moore, I gotta be honest, but it weren't the same, you know?
The turnaround for Xbox, you have to remember, like, Xbox is making the most money it's ever made, and then I'm pretty sure the Xbox Series is outselling the 360 at this point, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
I think it's outsold the Xbox One. I don't know about the Series. I don't know about the 360.
It might be the Xbox One. I might be mistaking that.
Because I'm pretty sure that the 360 had the whole year to itself. So I'd be very shocked, because the PS3 came out a year after. I'd be shocked if it's outselling that. But I could be wrong. Definitely could be wrong.
Yeah. Regardless, it's very, very profitable. It's doing very, very well. And if we didn't have Phil Spencer, I don't think we would be in the position we're in now, right?
Agree.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, you know, he does come out of this interview very well. Like, he's very transparent in being like, I'm not in a positive headspace right now, and like X, Y, Z, and also taking a lot of responsibility. Like time and time again, he says, like, it's on me. It's my fault that this has happened. I don't really know what like the action is from that. Like him going like, I'm sure he's not taking like a pay cut or whatever, right? Like you know, he even says in it he gets paid very, very well. I thought it was like a really weird quote. Like it comes out of nowhere and he's like, I get paid way too much for what I do. And I was like, okay, cool.
Nah, bro, I've said that. Nah, I've said that. Like even when I do like anything.
Yeah,
like,
but you're not.
I think I'm not making that. No. But I think it's that when you're that level of what I'm trying to say is obviously I'm not making Phil Spencer money. Fuck me. But I'm saying like, if you're that type of person and you're just like an open person who speaks, and that's what he's doing, like he's being human, which is like, for what I do, like I get paid way too much money, like sort of thing. That's all he's doing. Like I don't think it wasn't a boast, and it wasn't a no. No, I know that's not what you're saying, but I'm saying like, it's just some people just talk like that, you know? Like it's not like it's like I need to do more. Because clearly I'm getting paid enough to do more, so I need to make this work even better than what it currently is.
For sure. I just, in my head, see the PR person sat on the other end of the call just go like it's not the thing they want him to say.
I don't think they have that. I feel like it's at that point now.
I don't think they do.
But I don't know how much I can say, because like I've tried to interview these big Microsoft people, let me tell you. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, we don't do a lot of interviews on my Xbox and me just because I find most people boring. No, but like it is. It's like people want to come on to push their game. They don't want to come on to have a interesting conversation 9 times out of 10. I've tried to get on these big people. Obviously, we had AC Bongos on, as you lot know. Like, the hoops I've had to jump through, and like they're like so this wasn't that. Like this wasn't a PR trained interview. This was like, we're gonna ask whatever we want, and you're gonna be okay with it, which is good for Microsoft. They need to do more of this.
Yeah, and going back to your point, like, do I think he's the right? It's right to kick him out right now. Like, obviously not. Like, I think you're right. Like, Microsoft is in a better place than they've ever been, even with Redfall being a speed bump and the CMA trying to block the Activision deal. Like, it's still up, baby. Like, it's still, you know, more money than ever and all the rest of it. So, but interestingly, like at the beginning of the year, we were talking about how, you know, I think you felt like Game Pass needed a good hit once every 3 months, once every quarter.
Yeah.
And we kind of glossed over in that conversation, I think, just assuming Redfall would be that hit for this time of year.
1000%. I guarantee, in my head, it was at least a 7.
Yeah.
It's Arcane.
from what you played, and it's a little unfair because you haven't put that much. What would you, if you had to give it a rating? What would you give it?
I'd probably give it again. I'll be honest with you. There's a reason I don't do reviews for my Xbox and me. Yeah. It's not nothing to like. We have discussions, but we don't do the breaking down and here's a number thing because I don't really understand. I don't know what's the difference between a 3 and a 4. I couldn't tell you.
It's all independent. I feel like the 1 to 10 is just too much.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, what is that? Like, fair. If you said to me, what if you go 1 through 5? Let's say we start doing numbers. We're going 1 to 5. All right. I'm giving this a 2 right now. Because you haven't got the basics of what I need in a game, which is, number 1, movement. I need to be able to walk forward and feel like I'm taking steps. Like, that's just...
That's Casper?
I don't. Not unless unless at the end of the game I find out that I'm actually dead and this is all a dream. Like, yeah.
I think
actually, at the end of the game, you realize you've been wearing roller skates the whole time.
Makes sense. Makes sense. But yeah, I would put it 2 out of 5 from what I've played.
I think like the way I always think of it is like, should you go out and buy the game?
No.
And the answer is hell no. This is a $70 game. Like, come on.
I think no matter the price point on this, you could say it's a $15 game. My answer would be
it could be a $10 game. No. Don't buy this game. It's not good.
Yeah.
But also, like we always say, it's on Game Pass. So if you're spending money on the game, you're a mug because you should just be.
No.
You should just get a Game Pass.
I agree,
for this
Matt.
game, yeah, but for general games, no. You're not a mug for spending.
You're a mug.
And supporting games.
You're a mug.
You're a mug.
You are.
No, especially consider a lot of the games that come to Game Pass are indie games.
No, we're not.
Don't support indies. Just get Game Pass.
No, I agree with you. I said that.
I can just back both of you guys said this.
You're a mug. Let me say. Okay, no. Let me rephrase. You're a mug if you buy any first party title from Microsoft when their Game Pass exists.
That's fair.
That's what I'm saying.
I agree with that statement.
Matt, on the other hand, thinks you're a mug about everything.
I think if you listen to this podcast, you're a mug. So there we go.
Oh.
We just got a new audience coming from IGN.
Yeah,
Can you
right.
not?
Sorry.
They're not used to us yet. They're not used to us yet.
I wasn't even here last week, so now they're like, if they've come back for the second week, and now I'm here, and I'm like,
you're a mug. Let's move on. Let's get into what's been in our box. Matt, what have you been playing?
So many things. All of the things, and none of them Redfall. Finished Resi 4. You'll be glad to hear.
Okay, let's talk. I beat it as well.
Bloody good game, isn't it?
It's my game of the year so far.
Wow, is it mine? Maybe.
What beats it? What beats it right now?
He's gonna say Star Wars.
No, I can't because I mean we'll get onto it, but like I love Star Wars in spite of itself. It's trying to make me hate it, right? Like
I think me and you have an interesting conversation.
yeah. We'll talk about it a bit. But Resi 4, maybe you're right. I did also start Dead Space. And so the two, and I'm not that deep in, but the vibes, similar vibes, so like we'll see how we go. What's that face?
Not really, but yeah.
What do you mean by similar vibes?
Survival horror.
Okay.
Third-person action survival horror.
Resident Evil 4 is an action survival horror, but sure.
I threw action in there. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I got you. No, I'm joking. You're right.
You're stopping people in Dead Space. It's like the spin kick, It's the same thing.
Can we spoil Resi? Are we allowed to spoil Resi?
No.
It's so old.
I'm 3 chapters in.
Oh no, yeah, he's not. If he's not beaten, no.
Oh no, I didn't realize.
Can you can refer to something? What is there something? Be vague. Be vague.
Here's what I will tell you. I will have it beat by next week.
Take your headphones out, Crash. Take your headphones out.
No. It's fine.
Crash, take your headphones out. I want to know. I just want to know what you're referencing.
Okay, I'm interested.
Wait, go.
Oh no, I'm interested in the the differences between the original game and the new game. Like that section with Ashley, I thought was brilliant, and then the fact that you retread it as Leon, I thought was brilliant.
Okay.
Is that in the original game?
You're good now. You're good. Okay. No, he didn't even say anything. He didn't even say anything that you would have spoiled it.
Okay.
We'll talk about it next week.
Give me a yes or no. Give me a yes or no, Crash.
It's much better. It's much better now.
Okay, cool.
It's much better. Much better now. Are you enjoying it, Crash? Because last week you started it, but you haven't played no more.
I haven't played no more.
Okay.
I was actually really excited for Redfall, so I was sort of. And then that came out, and I was like.
So, Matt, how many times have you beat it out of interest?
Just once.
Oh, okay. I'm doing my second run at the moment.
I didn't jump back in. I actually deleted it, off the thing. I wanted to go again. What's wrong?
So, Matt, I got a question for you.
Are you dumb?
Do you prefer Resident Evil 8 over this game?
Yes, let's go. I don't know.
Let's go.
Don't get the internet angry at me.
Don't play this game. You know if you prefer it more. I love this.
Here's the thing, right? Like, man. This is the first time that I've played Resident Evil 4, which obviously is not the case for a lot of people. And so I played Resident Evil 8 before I played Resident Evil 4, and now I see that they are almost
the same game.
They are so the same game. Like you go to the village, you get attacked by all the people, you go to the castle, you like it's the same game, dude. Like, so,
not quite, but yeah, I know what you're saying. I get
very similar vibes. Yeah. And so, like, I really loved Resident Evil 8 for its world, and it's a little bit spooky and a little bit supernatural and and then Resident Evil 4 has all of that, and I'm like, I'm not as into it. I'm not as engrossed. It's not as fresh to me. It's not as new to me as I was hoping it would be, I guess. But it's still a phenomenal game. There's no two ways about it. So I don't know. Flip a coin.
Matt did a very good job of putting his Phil Spencer on. And
he gave us a PR. Why is that woman in the corner there, the PR woman, telling you to do this and do that, and shaking her head like, what's she doing there?
Haley's here for some reason.
Yeah, why is Haley at your house?
And like, I think the difference is, like, there's so much to play right now for me. That, like, the idea of going straight back into Resi was like,
oh, it's so much better the second time around.
I know, I bet it is, because I feel it. Like, I know it would be.
Going through in New Game Plus with all the weapons that you have and just sniping the fuck out of everything is so fun. Yeah, so fun.
I have to get back into it. I'm gonna be honest, Redfall has kind of destroyed my want to play games for a little bit right now, because I went back into Star Wars, and
it's so sad.
It's like, oh man, I don't even feel like playing this right now.
Okay.
Well, that brings us neatly on to Star Wars, because speaking about Redfall being a technical piece of shit, my God, is Star Wars a technical piece of shit? My good God.
It has
What are you planning on? What are you planning on?
Series X.
Wow, so 3 different platforms here, to be fair. And it plays bad on all.
Have you played X? No.
I loaded it up.
You loaded it up
and couldn't even hack
it? No, I just loaded it up and went, nah, I'm not in the mood for this.
It just wouldn't work.
No, I wish. Would have made better for the story.
It's a shame, because, like, what we were saying about Redfall is, like, you could delay it, but if you're not going to delay it by 2-3 years and fundamentally change what that game is, you're in trouble. You could have delayed Jedi. You could have fixed it up, even if it took a while. Like, there's a great game in here. There's a fantastic game in here, but I just want it to be working like the way it should be. I don't know. But I played a lot of it like pre-release, and so I know there have been patches since. I'm sure there will be patches to come. I'm going to persist through it. Everybody knows that I'm the fucking Star Wars nerd. And it's great. I'm loving everything they're doing, and they're doing that classic fan servicey thing of like, we mentioned a character, Are you excited? You better be. We mentioned a planet, Are you excited? Because we might go there, we might not. But
it got spoiled for me. A big thing got spoiled for me.
Oh, really? I'm doing pretty good on the spoiler front, I think. And I'm like all in. Like, I'm exploring every nook and cranny that I can, and I'm not rushing it, which is nice.
How deep into the game are you, Matt?
I am probably maybe 12, 13 hours, something like that.
Crash is not impressed.
No, because I don't know where that would lead if you're doing exploration.
That's it.
How many of the stances have you gotten?
3 of 4.
Oh, okay. So you're still pretty early on. Okay.
Yeah, I figured the stances would come relatively early. But like I say, I'm going through. I'm changing up my clothes all the time. I'm talking to all the people. I'm doing all the rumors. I'm doing all the bits and the bobs.
They did such a good job with the exploration rewarding cosmetics. Because it feels more rewarding or the cosmetics that they have in this one. Because the first one had cosmetics as well. But I'm going to be honest, I didn't care about ponchos. You can give me all the poncho colors you want. It's ugly design choice.
Yeah. I mean, it is my life's mission to make Cal look as ridiculous as possible. I got the mullet. I got the handlebar mustache. I got like a denim jacket. I'm loving life. It's great. It's great. It's good fun. And everybody takes him really seriously for some reason. even though he looks ridiculous. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I really do think there's a fun, really good game there. I wish that they hadn't done the stances and that they'd instead just fleshed out the combat more, right? Because I think like of God of War, like with very simple mechanics, you've got so many options in God of War, depending on how quickly you attack again after you first attacked, how all these ways to go. Whereas I feel like Jedi is like flooding me with all these stances and stuff that you can't access while you're in combat. You just pick your 2 and you're done. And so I'm like, what is the point in me investing in this next one or this one and changing up the way I play when it's difficult to do that on the fly, and like I'm limited in my options when I do then pick what I'm gonna do. Like, sorry, go on, Crash.
I played more Star Wars, and I got to the point where I think I'm done with this game for 2 reasons. One, I was doing a platforming bit and I kept jumping onto a wall, and visually it was like, I'm on this wall, I should start wall running, and I was just falling to the ground, and I'm like, that's just annoying. It happened a couple of times. And then 2, I just kind of got over the combat. I've unlocked all the stances. The stances don't feel like super unique. They don't feel like very in-depth. Not to say that they don't feel unique, but they don't feel fully fleshed out, right?
Yes.
You get the blaster stance. And not to spoil it too much, but the blaster stance doesn't feel like it's a fully fleshed out thing.
It sucks.
It just feels,
I was so excited to get it. Like I in my head, when I knew it was coming, I was like, it's gonna be like Black Flag. Remember Black Flag? That's what I want this to be, where I'm just like, bah, 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 and it's lame. It sucks.
Yeah, and there's no real like flow to the combat. There's no depth to the combat, right? There's no stance switching and there being interconnectivity to choosing 2 stances, which in all the decision making, it feels like they're disconnected, and they were like, we want to have all these different type of lightsabers, but we don't want to actually go into depth with why you would use them. I would rather them do stances and be like, these stances fundamentally play different or change the way you play the game and how you approach combat. Or it just feels like, here's a couple of different flavors and you can pick whatever flavor you want. It doesn't really, like, there is like, if you go the saber stance, it's better for or the staff stance is better for the AoE. If you go the blaster, it's better for long range and stuff like that. But they never feel like they're fully fleshed out to the point where I'm engrossed in the combat and I'm like, oh, how could I have done that better? Or what can I do here? And what can I connect in these parts, right?
Totally.
It's just sort of like, it is what it is. It's like blank inputs and that's all you're doing here, which isn't like, if you rock with it, you rock with it. It just, with the formula they have here, I'm like, Star Wars could be so much more entertaining when you start throwing in like the Jedi powers and stuff like that, and how cool lightsabers are just as weapons, right?
Yeah, and I think you've hit the nail on the head. Like, if there was an attack you could do that would switch your stance, like Bloodborne has already shown you to do, that would be already infinitely better. And like, why would I ever swap stance? I don't know. Like, it doesn't ever feel like, oh, this type of enemy is weak to this kind of stance, or like that would really help you here. And then even when you get to the point where you can execute an enemy, he goes back to normal stance every time. There's no, oh, you had dual lightsabers, so you're going to do this type of execution, versus you had the blaster, so you're going to do this type of execution. No. He's just going to go back to the standard one lightsaber and do the cinematic execution. I'm like, come on, make it feel cool that I want to be switching this up all the time. I will say the only time the combat really feels good for me is the one-on-one like lightsaber, when they're using a lightsaber type of weapon, right? Boss battle, against another Jedi or whatever.
One boss battle in particular, which I think you would have played at that point. I'm not going to spoil it, but super dope. Like the whole intro to the character and everything like that, incredibly dope. Probably my favorite part of the game, and I was really hyped. Last week when I had talked about it, it was like right after I got to that point. So I was really hyped on the game, and then I keep playing. It's like, is it worth to go through the rest of the game for those moments? And I don't think it is for me right now. I'll probably try jumping in one more time, but I think I've reached my cap with it for the game.
I get that. And if you're not really into Star Wars, then I totally get that, right? Like there's so enough breadcrumbs story-wise for me to be like, I want to explore every nook and cranny, and I want to talk to every person, and da-da-da. So yeah.
It's canon, correct?
Yeah.
So it's like you could learn relevant stuff about Star Wars instead of it just being like some sort of side piece or whatever.
So you're telling me there's a chance that Jar Jar Binks is in this game?
No.
I think Jar Jar Binks canonically is dead at this point in
the
Star Wars timeline.
Jar Jar?
Yeah, no. Yeah.
Jar Jar's prequel, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, but no.
I mean, I don't know how long his species live for.
They live forever.
Yeah, I think that would be the question.
They live forever.
Misa.
Mortal beings.
Yeah, they don't die.
Santa doesn't exist.
What? Jar Jar can't be dead. I only give a fuck about Star Wars because of Jar Jar Binks. I'm gonna keep it 100 straight up.
Yeah.
So
look, I love the game. It is a shame that it has a lot of technical issues, and I want a little bit selfishly. I just want that little bit more from it. Like you've got God of War that shows you how to do this third-person action stuff. You've got Bloodborne that's like kind of doing kind of similar things. Like take from these games that have done it so well.
Honestly, for me, the way I look at it is sort of like I kind of wish it functioned not gameplay wise, but similar to like Final Fantasy VII Remake. If you look at every character in that game, they all work as fundamentally their own thing, and I wish stances worked like that, where each of them had like their own abilities and stuff you could do with them, and they're too samey. They are different enough where if like the dual blades works different than the saber, it's just not enough for me, unfortunately. I do think that if they like the next one comes out and they put a little bit more focus in the gameplay, you could get a really, really dope game. But I don't know if at that point you would be going against what the game is if you evolve the combat in any significant way, right?
Don't mention Final Fantasy on this podcast.
I apologize. I think the game, like, if you want to make the combat slow or flow better to a degree, you have to remove some of the methodicalness of it and the slow pacedness of it, which I feel like they go for that very Souls type, not Bloodborne, very particularly like a Dark Souls type of feel.
Yeah.
And I feel like you might lose that otherwise. And that is one of the things that people really, really love about it. They love that Souls. It's always been one of my biggest gripes for it because I feel like you're trying to mix puzzle pieces that don't fit necessarily.
Yeah.
But I do feel like if you make it flow better, you do ruin that. That's why it's a complaint for me. But for some people, it's probably one of the highlights for the game, that the way that combat works.
Yeah, I see that.
Well, I've been playing Dead Island 2.
I played a little bit of it too.
What do you think?
It's pretty, isn't it? I mean, I'm lucky enough. I've got a rig. I can run it all.
Yeah. Same.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
And that's the first thing I was like, "Fuck, this is really gorgeous."
It's the first time I've been in a games world where I said to my chat, "Shit, chat, could you imagine if you lived there?" And like you're running around a house, like in these Beverly Hills houses.
Streamer house.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
Wait, have you played it? You started it as well?
No. I've seen just people talk about the streamer house.
Yeah.
If any house fix would have been like, imagine if I lived here.
Bro, it's so fucking good. Like, it's so nice.
I heard they were very accurate with the streamer.
They smashed it. They smashed it. The streamer house is, it's like there's 5 different sets in this house. Like they've made a beach in their garden with a camera at it, with some lighting and stuff. And it's like, yep, I would have done that. With a green screen in the background and stuff like that. Like, it's very accurate. But the game as a whole, been playing it co-op with Haley. It's fine. Like, I don't think it's amazing by any stretch of the imagination. Again, playing on PC, which is gift and a curse. Co-op is a fucking nightmare for it. It seems like every time I have to fast travel, I get kicked out of the game and I have to fast travel and then invite Haley back in every single time, which it could just be my rig, but it's very annoying. Can't hear you, Crash. Love that for us.
Me myself, I apologize. I will say there's a possibility that's because you guys are playing on the same network. Because some games do have hiccups if you play on the same network.
Could be.
I haven't played the game in co-op, so I have no clue.
Interesting.
But
yeah, I like it. I think the one thing they've done really well is the gore. Like, the gory element of the game is very fun. No matter what weapon you're using, like destroying a skull or tearing off a limb is very, very fun and enjoyable. I like the exploration in this game a lot more than I expected. Like, it very much is like, go that way. And the game is very much like, don't go that way, whatever you do, don't go that way, go over here, because then you can go see all this stuff, which I like about it. Like, I like the side missions that I've done so far. I just come up against the social media lady who wanted me to make a video for her, which was cool. Like, it's very dumb, it's very stupid, but that's kind of why I like it. And it just, every time I play it, I'll be honest with you, I just say, can we just get a reboot of Dead Rising, please? Like, just give me a reboot of Dead Rising, Capcom. Like, please, because I miss that dumbness and the amount of zombies we can get on screen now, obviously due to, we were doing it in the 360 days, but imagine now with the power that we have. It just, I just, every time I'm playing it, I'm like, oh, this is good, but I wish I was playing Dead Rising. Like, that third person, taking a sippy cup of something and sprinting around fast with fire breathing out my arse cheeks. Like, I just miss that. The funness of, I miss fun games. Do you know what I mean by that? Like, not that 100%. Games are not fun, but like, I miss those dumb, stupid games. I miss just being able to run into any shop, and that's what I like about Dead Island as well, is like, there's a part at the start of the game where you can smash open this cabinet and grab the sword out, and I'm like, yeah, that's how it should be. That's fun. That's enjoyable. And like, adding the mods in the game pretty early on is fun, electrocuting everything. Just the dumbness of like, okay, I'm going to grab this battery, I'm going to throw this battery at a zombie, and it's going to electrocute everyone. Oh, they happen to be standing in a puddle, which is also then going to make things 10 times worse. It's just fun. Like, yeah, I enjoy it. I enjoy playing it. I don't have to think too hard. I don't have to worry about mechanics and this and that, and even the abilities and things like that. They're so whatever that it's like, it doesn't matter. Just run around, smash some zombies' heads in, and have fun with it. And that's what this game is to me.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. Like, it comes back to it being fun, right? And like, we can often lose sight of that. It's like, yeah, I want to play God of War and cry. Well, no, sometimes I just want to bash the zombie skull in and have fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of, I'm very early on. I haven't played much at all, but
you're on PC though.
Yeah.
We could play it. How early on are you?
Oh, like very.
Yeah, I'm still early though. We could set aside a day.
Maybe 2 hours.
Yeah, no, me too. I'm probably a little bit more than that. But we could play it. I'll be down.
We could play it.
Can you just freely join people in co-op in that game? Wow.
In and out whenever you want. I think it's down to the host. I think the host is the one that has the story and everything else. So, yeah.
You mean you don't have to back out to the main menu and then like?
No, you do not.
Wow.
No, you do not.
And your character progress carries over?
Yes.
Not story progress.
Yes, each character has their own progress and carries over. Yeah.
Wow. It's like they thought it through. Wow.
It's almost like it's almost like the delays helped Dead Island. I know it was a lot of them, but
no, it was 10 years worth of delays. Yeah.
But yeah.
Dead Island should have come out. If like history's taught us anything, Dead Island should have come out and been a bad game, right?
Yeah. And
but they came out and they stuck the landing.
Not bad.
Yeah.
I'd say it was a solid good.
Yeah.
Let's get into this week's dashboard. We're not going to go on too long. I'll hit the main points so we can keep it moving. Xbox Showcase has been announced for Xbox and Starfield. Their Direct officially announced for June 11th at 10 a.m. PT. Don't know what that is in your time zone, but 10 a.m. PT. It is going to feature new surprises and first looks from first-party studios and partners. This is the day gamers have been waiting for to see what is coming to Xbox.
Didn't we already have this date?
I don't think we had the date. I think we knew the showcase was happening. I don't think we had the date and time.
I think we had the date. I don't think we had the time. I could be mistaken about that.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm excited. I mean, I've also been excited for a long time now. It's been 3 years since we've seen Avowed. It's been 3 years since we've seen State of Decay. It's been 3 years since we've seen shit. What else was on that list? There was a bunch of stuff that was on that list.
You said State of Decay, Contraband.
I don't think it's been 3 years since Contraband though.
Wasn't Contraband shown the same time the State of Decay was?
No. Different thing. State of Decay was during the oh wait, am I wrong? Maybe I'm wrong. Am I wrong? I feel like I'm wrong. State of Decay was a part of the one. No, I think I could be wrong.
I think Contraband and State of Decay were shown at the same thing. I could be wrong.
I think it's the games
a while ago.
The games I think we're thinking of. Fable. No, you're wrong. I think you're wrong. I think it's Fable, Everwild, Avowed, Perfect Dark, State of Decay. And that was all part of that early, before the Series X even came out, direct thing they did. And it had Forza in there as well. I think it's 3 years since we've seen anything or had updates on those. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. Are you excited to see any of those games? And this is the other question I got for you, is I look at that list now, and I think about that list now, and I go, I'm only really excited for 2 of those games.
You were correct, by the way.
I was?
It was a year later. Yeah, Contraband was shown a year later.
I thought so.
Yeah.
I'm only excited for Fable and Avowed.
Same. I'm excited for the showcase, because I do think that Microsoft has so much to prove, and I do hope at some point they prove it here. And Phil Spencer, if I'm not mistaken, I read a quote from the XCast thing, that there is a good playable demo of Avowed.
Yeah.
Which makes me hopeful that we see gameplay for Avowed at whatever this is. We finally get to see how the game is.
To me, and I very passionately spoke earlier in the podcast, it feels like a get off the pot type moment. You know, like you can't, and I know they've done this before. Is the problem? They've done the Phil Spencer comes out and we're not gonna talk games. No. I don't just need games now. I need games, I need gameplay, and I need release dates. That's what I need. Now, you may miss those release dates. Cool. No problem. No problem. I've got no problem with delays. That doesn't bother me. But the fact that I don't know when State of Decay, what's going on with State of Decay 3, and where it's at, like, I don't know. Like, we need... Hellblade, I think, comes out next year. Next year, I think it comes out.
Didn't Matt, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't it sound like from the interview, because I've read a couple of quotes, Phil Spencer said that or hinted at Hellblade 2 is the next game in the lineup for what they're releasing? Or is it after 4th though?
I didn't think they talked about Hellblade in that interview, and I may have missed it. Like, I may be misremembering. But,
there was an article going around that after Forza, there was this trailer that went out, and it had Minecraft Legends in, Redfall, Forza, and Hellblade. So I feel like that might be where you're picking that one up from, where it's like, it looks like Hellblade is next. I don't think it is. I think it was just part of that trailer.
Okay.
Interesting.
You excited for it, Matt?
The showcase?
Yeah.
Sure. I kind of disagree with what you said about who doesn't love a showcase. We've got our showcase on the same day, right? Like a Future Game Show, and so I will be busy. But yeah, I am excited for it. I think I slightly disagree with what you were saying about release dates, because we are now at a point where any release date that is announced is more than likely going to get missed in my eyes.
Yeah, that's fine, though.
Is it, though?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like, what is the point?
For me, that's fine.
Case? All you're doing is putting pressure on that team.
Just lie to me.
Yeah. But the problem isn't that they're lying to you. The problem is that there becomes expectations financially once you put a release date on it.
We should have expectations for Xbox. The days are done. No. Let me go. The days are done for us not to have expectations.
We've always had expectations.
Okay.
So I don't know why you haven't had expectations till now.
Why
you're done with not having expectations.
I'm talking about everyone.
That's wild.
I'm saying the collective we. The collective we.
But that's not what it is, because this is more so. I get what you're saying, and if it was just from a observer point of view, I'm fine with that. But what happens when you set release dates is from a management point of view, and the people in the big suits that don't know anything about making games or anything like that, they're looking at that like, that game was supposed to come out. We were supposed to be getting a couple mil from that game. We haven't seen a penny from it. In fact, we're dumping more money into that. What's up with that? Release it next year or whatever the case is, even if, or not next year, release it within a certain amount of time, even if it's not ready. Sort of situation. I get what you're saying. I get what you're both saying. I don't care about release dates personally. I think I'm more with Matt on this one.
It's not that I don't care. Like I think yeah, you're right in a sense, Fix. Like, shit will get off the pot. Like, give us something to play. But yeah, I think like we've seen what pressure does, right? And like putting a release date on a thing and then feeling like you need to get out, or Redfall. Even if the only issues with that game were technical, it would have been an issue, right? And it should have been delayed. And so, like,
yeah,
you can't win. But Yes, am I excited? Yes, I am still excited for Starfield. I want to. Not that I want to see more Starfield, but like put it in my fucking hands.
I hope the main showcase does not have a lot of Starfield.
I don't think it will. I think they're doing a separate thing, right? Isn't it?
They're
like
doing a separate thing, but I could see them having like, here's 5 minutes of Starfield or 10 minutes, and then we're gonna go deep dive into it.
I hope it's 2 minutes.
I hope that's not what it is. Yeah.
30 seconds.
I hope it's like, here's a trailer, and then that's
yeah.
it. Yeah,
30 seconds would be good. 30-second trailer.
Reminder that they're doing the Starfield thing. That's all they need.
Oh,
but whether or not they'll do that, who knows?
How many new games do you think get announced?
New?
Yeah, new.
New surprises and first looks, or just new?
Yeah, just new. Not first looks, just new games.
One.
3.
I
think we're finally going to see. Shit. Who made We Happy Few?
Oh, wow.
That team that made We Happy Few, that's who made it.
Oh, I've got to check.
People, listeners screaming right now.
Yeah. Compulsion. We're finally going to see Compulsion Games' game. That's number 1.
BioShock?
Oh.
At Xbox? Maybe. But I'm like, here's.
Oh, are you talking first party or third party?
I'm talking first party. I'm not.
Yeah, that's why I assumed you was. That's why I assumed. Yeah, we're finally gonna see Compulsion's new game. Finally.
Do you think we see the rumored Wu-Tang game?
The Wu-Tang Clan.
Yeah, I remember this getting rumored. Yeah,
that's a rumored Wu-Tang game.
I do remember this.
I want to see it.
I hope not.
Is it a Wulong crossover with Wu-Tang?
That'd be something, but I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah,
I think we see that here. I think we either see that here or I don't believe this game exists.
I fully don't believe this game exists, and this is the first I'm hearing of it.
Oh no, yeah, this was rumored a while ago. They had their own controller on the PS1.
I wouldn't be surprised if anybody were to make a game from like that sort of setting. I feel like Wu-Tang is like.
Oh yeah, well they've got enough members, haven't they?
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's like a squad.
It's like 9 of them. No, it's gonna be a fighting game. It'll be a fighting game.
Okay.
It'll be a fighting game or some sort of action adventure game.
Who made Killer Instinct?
Iron Galaxy. Well,
they're not first party, but it was Iron Galaxy. They were a part of it, or I think they did season 2.
Yeah, I forget if they did season 2 or season 1. My memory on it's a little bit hazy, but
yeah,
they did work on it.
I mean, that's
they're not doing Rumbleverse anymore, so they could be doing something. New Killer Instinct for sure.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I mean, that's a given.
We'll do our prediction episode. Let's keep it moving. Ghostwire Tokyo crosses 4 million players weeks after Xbox launch. So it seems to be doing well in Game Pass. Hopefully it sold well as well. Hogwarts Legacy has amassed over 1 billion in sales. Hogwarts Legacy has now sold 15 million copies and made over 1 billion. That number is expected to be notably increased as the game becomes available on previous generation platforms. I've actually heard the port of that is one of the best ports.
They perform
which is
well,
apparently it's one of the best ports to go over from the previous generation now. Which is very interesting. Very, very interesting. You think this Switch,
though, right?
Sorry, what was that?
Still not on Switch, right?
Did it? No, I don't think so. No, not yet.
Did that get cancelled? Something got
cancelled on Switch, but I think it was Midnight Suns.
It was Midnight Suns. Midnight Suns got cancelled on Switch.
There you go. Which is crazy because that's the only game I could see actually running on the Switch. That's not a pretty game. But yeah. This means we're getting a sequel, correct? Like, that's
we always.
Well, unfortunately,
probably going to.
Well, yeah, but the problem is obviously who shall not be named. Do they want to keep having to? Yeah, obviously, fucker. Do they still want to keep having to drag that up? But for 1 billion, I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
You take the bad press with that. But interesting enough, off of this, I think it was the head of Warner Brothers or something along those lines hinted at the possibility of a Superman game off of that.
I did see rumors of a Superman game being in the works, which is so if we look at Warner right now, right? They've got Harry when it comes to gaming. They've got Harry Potter, which is we still imagine. Let's just make this one thing clear. This game was huge. This game was fun. I haven't beat it, which tells me everything about the game, if I'm being honest with you, because I like the world, I liked the game, but something didn't click for me, which was I wasn't Harry Potter. Imagine they just make us Harry Potter.
I disagree.
I don't want that.
That's what made you.
I don't want that.
Yeah, no, I'm not. Hey, did you beat it? You finished it?
No.
Why?
Because so many other games fix. Who has the time to finish a game nowadays?
Haley, she beat it.
People actually finish games.
She's 100% in it. She's actually almost 100% in it. Crazy.
And so is Emma. Emma is well on her way.
You know
to
why?
That. And so, like,
huge fucking nerds they are.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But like, if it had hit me 10 years ago, I would have absolutely finished that game, like 100% of it, right? Like, it's just different. What we do makes it difficult nowadays when it's a 50-hour, 60-hour game, whatever. But yeah, I think like it fulfilled everybody's childhood dream of getting the letter and going to Hogwarts. Right?
I agree.
Like, I don't think playing as Harry Potter, if people would have wanted that.
No, I would have finished it. I didn't say I would have. I'm saying I would have finished it because it would have been a more cohesive story that I probably would have cared about more. Unfortunately, the being in the open world and being me in this world, amazing. Love that. The actual story, though, I'm just like, I don't really care.
Well, also the protagonist is dull as fucking anything. Everything they say is just like, oh, no. It's boring as fuck. So.
I agree.
So what you're saying, Fix, is not that you necessarily want Harry Potter. You want just a better narrative.
Nah, I want Harry Potter telling me that narrative then. Even if I took what I was about to say. Even if they did something where Harry Potter is in the game, I don't know, they messed, because this isn't canon, right? This isn't canon or anything, right? So like, imagine they just change up the whole canon of the Harry Potter world, and he becomes the Dumbledore, and he's the headmaster, and then we go to school with his kid, but his kid's an actual arsehole. So, and I'm pretty sure he's actually an arsehole in the play.
Turns into like a bully
and
game.
It becomes, and then it's bully, and it gets remade. It's actually a Rockstar
Bully
game.
Potter.
Yep.
Yeah.
There you go. You're welcome. You get that one for free.
Potter become a teacher at Hogwarts or something like that? If I'm not mistaken.
I don't know.
And the cursed child or whatever.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm pretty sure he don't. Yeah.
He's basically James Bond. He's like a secret agent.
Is he really?
Yeah, he's an aura.
Is that what happens?
I mean, that's not what the play is about.
Huh.
But sure.
Did you just make that up on the spot? And now I'm excited. And now I'm excited for like a Harry Potter fucking James Bond game.
You see the James Bond, like the circle.
He comes out, he rolls wand. Crazy.
No, the play is about his son at school, but he is an aura. Yeah, he's like the secret agent, not a secret agent, because everybody knows who fucking Harry Potter is. Worst secret agent of all time.
Everyone knows who James Bond is. He's James Bond.
Yeah, but he hasn't got fucking James Bond written across his forehead like Harry Potter hasn't.
Wow.
Fucking scar, is he?
Makeup consult. Anyway, let's move on because you're a fucking loser. F1 2023 launches in June with upgraded handling and story mode. Which Christian had this story, which actually upset me because I'm actually really excited for this one. Remember, Chris, I bought a steering wheel, everything for Formula 1.
What was it for Formula 1?
Yeah, that's why I bought it.
A truck driving game.
No. But I'm really, really excited. I've actually got into Formula 1 because of the Drive to Survive series on Netflix. So now I'm a fake Formula 1 fan. Like I can't like do you know what I mean? Like I can't be I'm not a Formula 1 fan because I would never sit there and watch the race for 10 hours. Like no thank you. That seems 3 days practice fucking watching this car go around the track. No thank you. The drama behind it all 100%. I'm in.
You're like me with the UFC. Don't really care to watch the fights, but like the narrative for the fights, so interesting.
Yeah.
So I feel you. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, it's like me in football. I watched the Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney documentary about buying Wrexham. Now I'm a Wrexham fan.
Yeah, you're a dickhead, by the way.
What's
you
that?
got me excited. So I'm here. You said to me there was an ongoing thing. And, like, they were still doing episodes. No, you just hadn't finished the season. That's what you said to me, because I went on Disney. You fucking did. You're a fucking liar, Matt. You're a fucking liar, because I got all excited, and I went on the fucking Disney Plus, and I was like, oh, shit, let me go watch more. And I checked, and I was like, oh, the season's on right now. There's no way that they're doing that.
I vaguely recall, Matt, you did say something to that effect.
So what happened was I watched like 8 episodes of this AFC documentary or whatever, and then I guess I was caught up and I was like, oh, that's all it is, fine. And then I logged back on months and months later, and there were like 22 episodes.
No, yeah, but that's not the same thing, Matt.
Agreed. It's a miscommunication, Fix. You misunderstood me, and I definitely did not misspeak.
Fix, why didn't you understand him? Silly Fix.
I can't believe I'm getting gaslit right now. What a joke. But anyway, the story mode is called Breaking Point. I didn't play it in what one was it? F21, I think it was. They skipped it for 22, and I think it's in 23. But they're bringing that back, which is a story mode version of it all. Which I love the idea of it. Now that because you remember when I played Formula 1, 2021, I didn't understand Formula 1. So I went with the British team, which is Williams, and I'm like, oh, why can't I catch up with Lewis Hamilton? Well, maybe because at that time they had the shittest car on God's given earth. So I didn't understand that, like, if you're in Williams, you're just trying to play for 10th position. I didn't understand Formula 1. Now I understand it. I'm like, oh, I kind of want to get involved now. Now I'm interested, you know?
So it is like a standard like career mode type thing?
No. It's like do you remember FIFA did their story mode? What was the journey? I think it was called. Yeah. It's that, but in Formula 1. Oh, right, and I'm like, I'm getting my steering wheel out. I'm in. I want to be this guy. Yeah.
Because I was thinking it would be kind of cool, and maybe not, but like if it was like the WWE ones where it like puts you in a situation that happened, and you have to like replicate it, and then it shows you the real deal or whatever.
I don't like those.
No, fair enough.
No, but then I come up on the wrestling games when they used to do Road to WrestleManias, where they made unique stories for like 5 different characters. Were those were the best, and then
those were so good.
And then 2K do Universal mode. You create your Universal idiots. I've been playing WWE as well, by the way, but I didn't want to talk about it because it upsets me at the moment. So whatever.
Because it's not good or not what you want.
It's actually very good, but it's just not what I want. It's probably the best wrestling game I've ever played. Visually, controls amazing, but I want Road to WrestleMania.
You playing Logan Paul out here?
No, I'm Randy Orton. I just like running around RKOing people off of things.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Last story. Blizzard teases BlizzCon plans. Mike Ybarra, I believe, was on Twitter talking about it. And says in a couple of weeks there'll be some news. His exact quote was, okay, yes, I see BlizzCon questions. You'll hear more in 2 weeks. We're excited and we have a lot to show and celebrate together. And there was nothing quote, if I'm being totally honest with you, but it's what it is.
Also doing a server slam on Diablo.
Yeah, we spoke about that last week.
Oh, did you? Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're Gucci.
Yeah, I did listen.
Yeah,
shut off when I hear about Diablo, I guess.
Because Crash asked me if I'm going to go and play it this time so I can get the backpack. And the answer is yes.
Believe you want to see it.
How long is it going to take me, roughly? Am I Xbox and me what?
To get to level 20, are we going to my Xbox and me squad it?
Are you guys planning on... Is it crossplay?
It's crossplay. I'm going to be playing on PC.
Yeah, me too.
It's crossplay and couch co-op for the server slam, which is cool.
It's only couch co-op on console.
Console, yeah.
Yeah, no PC.
Okay. So I've never played a Diablo. Like, is there like end game content and like
is this one specifically? So past Diablos have had end game content and you trying to like finish your build and stuff like that, but then they release seasonal content that like slightly changes games and changes builds and stuff like that. This one has like what seems to be like legitimate end game content that's more MMO-esque.
And it's 4-player, right? Co-op.
It's 4-player co-op, yeah.
I'm really excited, Crash. Am I too excited? Am I too excited for it? Because I'm excited. I'm actually really excited for it.
It's a heads or tails because you really got into Anthem. You've gotten into games like these before at times, so I think you could.
It just has to be the right one for me. Honestly, that's all it is.
And you liked Marvel Heroes, so you do.
And I like Final Fantasy MMO.
Well. Yeah, so maybe we'll see when you play it on the 12th.
Okay.
When you get that shiny backpack.
I don't care about it after a day.
Is that next weekend then? 12th. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, next weekend.
I think it's the whole weekend as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Cool.
Maybe we should my Xbox and me it.
I'm done.
Yeah,
Tap it with the boys.
All right, say less. We're gonna leave questions this week. Actually, we'll do this one. We'll do this one. There's two here actually. We'll probably do both. I'm really sorry, guys. With Redfall lackluster launch, do you think it makes Starfield even more important? Like Starfield is kind of a make or break game for Xbox at this point. From Hero Jeff.
No,
I don't think it is.
Starfield's important. It's very important. It's not make or break.
I agree.
I think Xbox will continue to do well in Game Pass. I think it might be make or break. No, it's not make or break. I just don't see it being make or break. I do think it'll ruin a lot of people's faith in Xbox, but we've talked about how Game Pass doesn't necessarily, like, it is a separate thing from Xbox to a degree. I could see people still keeping Game Pass, even if they're not super into what Xbox is doing, just because they like that steady stream of games that come to Game Pass.
Agreed.
So in that regards, I don't think it's make or break. Is it make or break for Xbox branding? No, but I do think we'll see big shifts in Xbox if Starfield ends up doing poorly.
Matt, make or break Starfield?
I think it's more so make or break than maybe Crash feels about it. Like I kind of fundamentally agree with what you're saying. Like I don't think they're gonna have a massive amount of people cancel their Game Pass subscriptions and throw Xboxes out the window over it, right? But I think if it's their I hate making this fucking analogy, but it's their God of War, right? Kind of has to be. Like you have to fucking impress people with this game. Delayed it enough. You've kept talking about it. Like even Phil, like kind of offhandedly being, you know, in a separate context saying like, even if Starfield's an 11 out of 10, it's like, come on, dude. Like, I know you're not saying you think Starfield's going to be 11 out of 10. I understand that.
Yeah.
But you are putting your eggs in this basket and we don't know what else is in the near future, I guess, other than Forza. And that's a very different type of game for a very different type of audience. And so, like, we know Hellblade's out there, I guess, at some point. We know Fable is way off. We know Elder Scrolls is way off. Starfield is the one that needs to fucking deliver this time around. So, yeah.
I think, personally, the showcase is more make or break than Starfield as a game, if I'm honest with you. Because we know what Starfield is, ultimately. We don't know everything, but we know what Starfield is. It's a Bethesda game that is going to be open world, and we know what to expect, sort of. It's beyond that I'm more worried about. I'm more worried about what is State of Decay 3? What is it? Because is it this? Because I've been talking about it needing to be the next step for Undead Labs and it becoming a AAA survival game finally. Because State of Decay 2, I love State of Decay 1. State of Decay 2 just wasn't it. It wasn't what we wanted. It wasn't what we expected. The co-opness of it, just terrible. What is Avowed? What is Everwild? What is Fable? Those questions are so much more important than for Xbox going forward than is Starfield good, bad, or medium?
Yeah, also with like Starfield and similar to Redfall and even Hi-Fi Rush to a degree, those were all games that were in conception before Xbox was involved, right?
Yeah.
What happens when Xbox is there from the beginning? I think that's important for Xbox. I think momentarily and in the near future, Starfield's important. Not to say the Starfield is irrelevant, right?
Yeah.
But it's not make or break. For me, it's make or break. Like when the first fully under Microsoft Bethesda game comes out, how does that game look, right? How does Tango Dreamworks' next game look? How does Arcane, which Arcane made this one? I forget which one it is.
Not the good one.
Arcane that made Redfall. When their next game comes out, how does that look? And even the other Arcane, when their next game comes out, how does that look, right? I think that for me is like really where I'm at with Xbox, and we've been talking about that for so long. It feels like we've had that conversation. It's kind of like, well, we got to start putting up for some of those games because we can't keep waiting for what you do when you purchase these studios, right? You purchase these studios to give us games, and we haven't seen anything fully with Xbox, and that makes sense. the purchase wasn't that long ago, with respect to how long it takes to make a game, but we got to start seeing some of those returns on that stuff, right?
Yep. No, I do agree with you. Last question. Hi boys, hope you're all well and enjoying the bank holiday weekend. Is it bank holiday weekend this weekend, Matt?
Yeah, the fucking king is getting made the king today, Fix.
I'm doing a podcast, man. I don't give two fucks. Where just
kind of a big deal in the country. You're in London. It's kind of a big deal for London.
Well, I said to Hayley about going to cinema today, and she was like, "Oh, the king's driving around, so we probably might not be able to." And I was like, "Why? What's he got to do with me going to the cinema or not? I don't care."
Well, he's still not technically the king yet.
Didn't somebody cut in the lawn for the king or whatever a giant penis, if I'm not mistaken?
It's actually where I am. That's in Bath. They're planning this big. There's this big like stately home thing. They're planning this big garden party, and in the garden across from it, they cut like a massive 10-foot dick. Hysterical. And you know what? Very good artistry. Very symmetrical. Like phenomenal work. To be fair. You know?
So funny you mentioned that. We got in our American group chat, like with Hayley's family. They know how much I don't give a fuck about the monarchy because they all care and I don't. And I got a message of that, like, Corey, you're so immature. And I'm like, hey, motherfuckers, it weren't me. Matt, I see what you mean now.
Super smart webcam.
Jokes. Sorry, let me finish this again. To start with an eventful weekend for Xbox. Redfall has hit the 50s on Metacritic and been slammed by everyone. Have you all played it? What do you think? I think we spoke about that plenty. We don't need to go into that anymore. Did you all watch the Phil Spencer interview and listen to anything? Did you all watch the Phil Spencer interview and listen to anything that would worry you even more? Again, I think we touched on that as well, Reality. I think the biggest takeaway is I want to hear Phil Spencer talk more. If I'm being honest, I feel like go on the right platforms and get the right questions asked and stop doing these. I love it when Xbox do the interviews with Xbox On crew. Like, I love Charity, but they're too safe. You need a kind of funny. You need My Xbox and Me. You need a whoever to go in and be like, look, we want to ask you these questions because we want a transparent answer. And I think it was. I know Phil's a big deal. I get it. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, but I feel like Xbox need to start playing that role a little bit more. It's what PlayStation did with Shuya Shida and all those guys back in the day for the PS4, which was, it felt very much your buddy down the road. I remember when I met Shu in London that time, and I had no business. I was like, "Yo, Shu, what up?" Like, I wasn't nervous of speaking to him because I felt like I already had a connection, which is weird for a gigantic person in a gigantic company, but it makes you want to buy into the brand more. I feel like we need Aaron Greenberg out there talking more on podcasts. We need Phil Spencer out there talking more on podcasts. We need is it Sarah Bond? Have I got that name correctly? I think I have. I might have got it wrong. We need those type of people out there talking to the audience and reassuring them that the good stuff is to come.
Yeah, and I do agree with you. I do think Xbox doing a better job of it than anybody else, right? Like PlayStation's not out here doing that anymore. Like, Shu ain't really doing that anymore and stuff. Like, so, like, like I agree that there probably needs to be more. But also, what you don't want to happen is for that to be happening, and then somebody under Phil or something leaks where somebody's like, "Fucking Phil's never doing his fucking job. He's always out on these fucking podcasts."
Obviously.
And so there's a fine line there somewhere, you know? And so, like, yeah.
It's for me, it's more so like Phil gets interviewed a lot, but a lot of the times the interviews come off as like, well, here's my corporate response. And to a degree, he still had corporate responses here, right? Let's not get it twisted.
Yeah.
But it felt very, like, still genuine from him, right? I'm going to divulge as much as I can, but I'm not going to, like, go overboard with it. Because at the end of the day, I'm the head of Xbox, right? And hopefully that's more so what we that's what I want to see from Phil going forward, right? There's just these honest conversations with people, even if he's still going to give us some of those corporate answers. Because before it got to a point where I know I've mentioned it, where it felt like every time Phil spoke, it's like, oh, that's a corporate BS answer. I stopped at a point really caring about how open Phil was sometimes because it didn't feel genuine.
Agreed.
Right?
Absolutely agree. Absolutely. Boys, let's plug and get the hell out of here, man. What you got to plug this week, Matt?
Oh, can I do a real plug this week?
Yes, please. I beg.
On Monday, I'm officially starting my new job. I'm senior video producer at Future, so I'm going to be managing Games Radar and PC Gamer video output, but more importantly, starting brand new brand, FGS. Well, not really starting a brand new brand. Obviously, the Future Game Show has been going for a while. 3 showcases a year where we show off a bunch of cool games, indie games that we think are great. Not just indie games, some really important stuff in there too. Not that indie games aren't important. Anyway, now we're going to be doing daily and weekly content as well, and it's going to be fucking awesome. We got some really cool people on board. Fix is laughing at me because I'm not good at the PR stuff.
I'm laughing because I just love you so much, Matt. If I'm honest, I'm laughing because I'm waiting for him to go. Yeah, we need to cut that and redo that part. Can we redo that part? Let's redo it. All right, I'm down. No, I'm being serious. I'll redo it. Like, you're good.
No, we're not redoing it.
You fucking joker.
And over the next couple of months, it's going to be like huge experimentation, like really trying out stuff, finding where we fit in the world. And yeah, big pushes on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, and all that stuff. So go find us, FGS, Future Game Show. You'll figure it out.
There you go. Yeah,
I appreciate you.
My thing is, Matt stopped doing the TikToks for us guys because he had to focus on his real job. What a joke. Am I right?
You know how long ago Matt stopped doing the TikToks? I don't think that's even a relevant
What a joke.
What
a joke. I've been waiting for this comment to come up until then. Yeah, go support Matt. Go support everything that's going on. You can find... Chris, you can end the show if you want, or do you want me to throw to you?
You can find the podcast at youtube.com/myxbox and me. Leave us a review, 5 stars only. If you gotta kick your nan down those stairs, kick your nan down the stairs. Yeah, goodbye.
No, that's not how we're ending.
That's how we're ending it. No, that's it. Goodbye.
Cocoa Bar.
What?